Good afternoon, everyone. I don't know about you guys, but I have a photo. Actually, I have 4 photos with the best entrepreneurs that I know. And the first one is this guy. This is me, this is my dad. And he is the best entrepreneur that I know because he was born in this place. And this is a place close to a favela in Rio de Janeiro, Brazil, where I was also born. And this place, for me, is the best entrepreneurship university that exists in the whole world. And my dad was born in a family of 10 brothers, but he was so lucky because he was the youngest one. And all his older brothers, they saved money to pay for him to go to study. And he was actually the only one in the family that could go and study. And when you do that in a country like mine, your life changes. Your family life changes. And more than that, right now, more than 15,000 people's lives changed. And although Brazil is the 8th economy in the world, in terms of GDP, we are also the 9th most unequal place on earth. According to Oxfam, 5% of Brazilian population makes the same amount of money than the others 95%. That's a crime for me. And this crime has one particular root, and this root is education. Unfortunately, not only in Brazil, but almost all over the world, quality education is just for rich people. That's also a crime. And I realized that when I was 17 years old. And in the next slide, I'm going to explain to you in 40 seconds something that seems that the government still doesn't understand. Right now, we have 13 million people unemployed in Brazil, but at the same time, we have thousands and thousands of available job positions that required one specific ability. This one, speak English. At the same time, someone that speaks English can make 2, 3, 4 times more than another one that don't speak in my country. But to speak English, you have to pay around $100 a month in an English school. The results of this equation is obvious. Less than 5% of our population speak English. Of course, these 5% are the rich one. And I realized that when I was 17 years old. And the first day when I did 18 years old, I had basically 2 options. The first one, to call my money and invest in my rock and roll band. The second option was, let's create an English school. And I know that the first option sounds much more sexy, but I decided to go with the second one. And I remember the particular day when I took all the money that I had, $200, went to the accountant and told him, like, can you help me opening an English school? And he said, yes, I can handle the bureaucratics. But then he asked me, are you a teacher, English teacher? And I say, no, actually, I don't know one word in English. And that was like 6 years ago. And then he mentioned 2 words, and I never forgot those words. He said to me, give up. And that was just the first time that I hear that, in the first day of the company. After that, every month and almost every day, I was hearing those 2 words again and again and again. But as a 18 years old guy, you don't actually know what you're doing, so you just don't hear to people. That's what teenagers do. We don't hear people. And I did. So I started for you too. And in the beginning, we had 2 main challenges. How can we be the best language school on earth, but at the same time be the cheapest one? And the way that we solved this challenge was, while all the other language schools in Brazil were hiring Brazilian teachers that were not that good teachers and were also really expensive, we decided to bring international people from all over the world to come live in Brazil for 1 year, and we will pay them 5 times less than we will pay for a Brazilian not good teacher. Why? Because like a typical millennial, they're not looking for money. They want money just enough to have a great experience. And when we solved that, of course, people said, look, are you guys crazy? I said, yes, hell yeah. And that was exactly what we did. And I could tell you here more than 15,000 stories of students, but I decided to tell the story of that guy over there, the finger in the nose, His name is Amiel. He was born in one of the largest favelas in São Paulo, and he had the dream to be a photographer. After doing this 42 English course, intensive one, he was able to get a scholarship in New York to study photography. He came back and became one of the best photographers in town. He changed not only his life, but his family lives. And that guy could be my dad. But when we realized that our impact was not only with our students, was when I met the third best entrepreneur that I know, Barham. She was born in Palestine. Because of the war, she had to move to Syria. Her apartment was bombed. She then moved to Egypt. Her street was bombed. And then while all the world was telling her, go home, refugees, leave our countries, we in Brazil, we are 42, are telling her, come on, we'll get you a job. And it's not going to be a job teaching for rich people. You're going to teach, we're going to pay you, and you're going to teach for people in favela. And then she came. And like she, we had much more other refugees that came to become our teachers as well. And that was just the beginning. Right now we have we have 8 schools across the country. We had more than 15,000 students so far, with more than 400 teachers like Barham. And in last year, in 2018, I took the picture with the 4th best entrepreneur that I know. This guy is Muhammad Yunus, Nobel Peace Prize, 2016, the creator of the concept of social business, and he decided to invest on us. So since last year, he's one of our investors, and did his largest investment in a company in Latin America, in 42, in this crazy idea that a lot of people say, give up. We are also certified as a big corporation since our own beginning. But the good thing was, last month, actually, we just raised our Series A round of investment, around $3 million, with an American venture capitalism firm. Also, the IDB was part of the round. And with that money, we were able to form an A-player team. So we form a C-level team of people really qualified from the market. And now I am the CEO, and I have a team of 70 people working full-time to transform the reality of education in a sustainable and profitable way. More than that. With that money, we will be able to open 30 new schools in the next 30 months. And that will start next month. So I really need to go back home and start to open schools so I can get the money back for the investors and also the impact. But this is just the beginning. Of course, this problem is not only in Brazil, it's not only in São Paulo. This problem is global, and we wanted to expand to other countries. And in the end, we wanted to create the first exchange company for low-income people. So we want to bring that people in the favelas to come here, to come travel, to know the world, like I have the opportunity right now. There's many other people like me around all over the favelas, all over the world. But to get that Series A, I had to talk with 43 venture capitalists in São Paulo, in the US, and other countries. And one day I was waiting for this train to go to another meeting with these investors, and then I started to shake my hand. I couldn't see, I couldn't breathe. And then when I wake up, I was in the hospital, and the doctor said, look, you just had your first panic crisis attack. And I was 25 years old. And he said, this is not common. And that was just the first one, because almost in all meetings that I had, after that, I was almost having a panic crisis attack, because in the end, it was me trying to sell to venture capitalists that it's actually possible for them to make more money investing in social impact than in those traditional business. Our margin at 42 is 57%, while the other margins of language schools are around 30%. But to do that was a huge weight for me. But what I can say is that with these 4 entrepreneurs, I learned more than I learned in the economics university. I learned more than I learned in my master's degree in entrepreneurship. Now I am also a teacher of entrepreneurship in one of the best universities in Latin America. But with those people, I learned much more. I learned to never give up. Thank you.
Thank you, Gustavo. You have 10 minutes of Q&A.
Thank you so much. Very inspiring. If this business doesn't continue scaling, doesn't go where you want it to go, what's plan B?
I mean, for me, the business is already break even, so but even if something not go wrong, actually I'll become a teacher probably. Like education is my cause. Probably I'll open another business in some educational field, but also I'll continue the classes because it's something that I'm really passionate about. Like there's many other young entrepreneurs that really want to get inspired, and sometimes this generation gap between teachers and students, and also this practice and theory gap, is something huge. So this is something that I'm really into it, and maybe become a social impact investor.
Great presentation, Gustavo. Have you considered using technology and virtual learning tools to connect people and scale your business?
So our methodology is based in 3 concepts: blended learning, adaptive learning, and flipped classroom. Basically, we don't use books. We have an app, a For You To app. Right now, almost half of the investment from the Series A is going to technology. So we have 6 developers working full-time to create a tool that it will be better, much better than the book. So we can adapt. While the students is answering questions about English, we will actually know more about them. So we can adapt the content that they will have. But also we use technology to control quality. So after each class, all the students evaluate the teachers, and the teachers evaluate the students. So we have like an Uber ride, so we can actually predict when the quality of a teacher will decrease. So this is just a few examples, but right now technologies cross in our business. A typical language school has 7 employees on staff and teachers. In 42, we have just 1 employee on staff, because pretty much 95% of the process, administrative process, we can do it online, or we automatize it already. So we see technology as the future, but the face-to-face classes for us is something that we should never replace.
Hello. Thank you for your presentation. My question is, how did you learn English? And how is that methodology similar to the way you did and how you validate it?
It's totally the way I did. I was the first student at For You To. I learned with the teachers because I was hosting them in my home in the beginning. We didn't have money to pay their rents, so I was hosting them in the apartment. I was actually living in the couch, and I put all the foreigners in my room to share it. It was like crazy. But with that, I had to talk with them. So as I mentioned, like when you were born in a favela, you just know how to handle. It's not going to be like a language barrier that will stop you. So talking with them, I learned. And our methodology is totally focused on conversation. So we put people that don't speak Portuguese. None of our teachers had to speak Portuguese. And none of our students know English as well. We put them together, and of course, we facilitate this environment so they can actually speak first and then study grammar, like we did when we were born. We start speaking first, and then 7 years later, we start to learn grammar. Other language schools are exactly the opposite. So it's totally related. I'm considering myself the first student at For You To, so yeah.
How are you dealing with your panic attack right now?
Yeah, I mean, like, I think it was more in the impact investment relationship and all of those, really distant places. Here I feel totally safe because there's just entrepreneurs. And the worst thing that I can see it is a venture capitalist that is not an entrepreneur and never was. He doesn't understand anything about the reality. So that was a bit shocking. But I'm doing therapy right now, and I'm totally want to join EO. I hope that next year we'll get the $1 million revenue, and I could join you guys.
Wow.
I hope. That's it. Rob.
So what is the best entrepreneur you know? How does he feel about what you're doing?
Oh, he's so proud. I'll start crying, definitely. But he's proud. He's proud. I mean, like, today is not just myself here on stage, you know? There's a bunch of people, bunch of kids from the favelas that could be here, right? So, pretty sure that. I don't know if he's watching online, but yeah, he's proud.
Gustavo, we're really proud of you.
Thank you.
I think your family's very proud of you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
You are changing lives in your community. That must feel really good when you show up for work every day.
That's for sure.
Yeah. And based on the photo that you shared of your team, I think you must be the youngest person
Yes.
in your company.
All of them, they have 50, so they have the double. So we just, I don't know if the backup slides can appear, but our marketing team, he was the vice president of marketing in Coca-Cola. His budget was larger than the GDP of some countries, and he's now working with us. The head of operations of Pearson, the largest education company in the world, we brought 2 of them. We got Rodrigo, he comes from Ambev. He was leading operation in Ambev, and he's now our CFO. So we was really focusing on hiring the best people that were also looking to make their changes in their lives. So they were like 50s. They were, you know, they had their money, but they are well paid, but they have vesting. So they are really like aligned with the long-term vision, and so I can focus more on the things that I'm best doing. And of course, they think they can take care of the, you know, all the rest. I hope they are doing that right now. So if you're watching, guys, I'm watching you as well. Marina?
What are your company values?
We have 5. Actually, the last one is new. The first one is create. So creativity. The second one is bold. The third one is do it. The fourth one, in English, faça, crie, ouse, connect. And the newest one is deliver. Because we realized that typically people that were working to us, they were just like impact first. And now we need like people that are results first. So we did this kind of change in the culture, and we were missing that, you know, doesn't matter if you're working in a social business with impact, like, we must give results. We are living in an economy that requires that, and increasing results increases impact. If you don't understand that, that's fine. You can work in other places, but that's the new kind of economy that is growing. It's sometimes kind of hard to explain, and sometimes I had to prove numbers thousands of times, but actually it's possible, but of course your team needs to deliver. So we have these 5 main values right now. And culture is, of course, my main challenge as a CEO right now, like to increase the team, and we will almost double the size of the team. Next year we will reach 100 people working full time, so if we don't have values, like this whole machine doesn't work. So this is my main responsibility, I think.
What do you hope to have achieved 10 years from now?
10 years. I really think that entrepreneurship, it's my thing. So I hope that I'll finish my doctor. I will continue working with For You Too, probably already working in this exchange, creating this exchange, affordable exchange company to bring low-income people to travel to meet other countries. But I don't know, maybe in 15 years I see myself in politics. I really think that we need young people, and also doesn't matter, like being an entrepreneur is not about having a company. It's like a mindset. This is I learned with all those 4 entrepreneurs that I mentioned. 3 of them, they never opened a company, and they are great entrepreneurs. And we need entrepreneurs in politics as well. I know this is not sexy at all, might be the worst option possible, but somebody has to do it, and if we don't do, if the young kids don't do it, the old ones will stay there, and we'll keep things doing the same. So we have to do it. Axel?
So,
Better than ours.
If you were a professor at a university in Brazil, how would you innovate? What would be the first thing that you'll tackle?
I think that is empathy. People need to know the problem. And there's a lot of entrepreneurs that don't actually come from the reality that I come. For them, it's harder. Doesn't mean that they will be worse entrepreneurs. Actually, no, they come from other backgrounds. So if they really want to solve a problem, they need to live it. So what I first do in my first class is always like, let's go to the field. Let's bring a problem, and we are staying like 2 days living in that environment. Could be in the favela, could be in another one. Thank you, guys. Thank you very much.